Welcome back. In this tutorial, now that we have completed our note entry process, we're actually going to start making the changes that we need to things like bar lines, first and second endings, crescendos and decrescendos, things like that. So let's get started. The first couple things that we'll look at changing or altering in our project here are adding these repeats. First thing, let's go ahead and do a search in Sibelius for repeat. See, look for the one that looks like the correct thing. Note input, repeat. Okay, that's actually repeating something itself rather than a bar line repeat. Notations, common bar line. This looks correct. So we could press on that or just go to that location. Notation tab, common group. So notation tab, common group. Here's our bar lines. We can click on it. Yeah, it shows us our start and repeats. So all we need to do, we can do this two ways. We can either click on the repeat and then add it this way, or we can undo that and we can make the selection on the bar line that we want to change. Click on repeat, hit start repeat, and it places it there. So two ways to accomplish the same thing. Now let's go down and look at the next place we need to add our bar line change. That would be right here. So again, up to the bar line tab and repeat. And saving along the way. Other bar line changes that we might find, the key signature change, it already has that there. We have a double bar here. Let's go ahead and change that double bar. And we can go up here and say double. And this is our ending bar line. Looks like that is correct, but if for some reason it wasn't, and we had a normal bar there, we could do the same thing. Click on it, select final. Now, if I'm correct, that should be all the bar line changes that we need to enter. There are a variety of items that are kept under this subgroup here, under the Notations tab, subgroup lines. If we click on this button right here, it shows you a variety of these. So it's things like slurs, crescendos, decrescendos, first and second endings, anything that has lines associated with it. So a lot of things under these line submenus or groups. So we're going to go ahead and add to our score the items that would be considered lines. So in our score, it would be things like our crescendo, decrescendo, first ending, second ending. Here's our crescendo, decrescendo. So those are our items that are lines. Here is our slur. We'll talk a little bit more about the differences between a slur and a tie in just a minute. So if we want to, we can click on this and select common lines. You can see first and second ending here. Also, there's a sub-tab here that says repeat endings. So either of those will work. So we can load our cursor with the first ending and then go up here and place it where it needs to go. Now, obviously, it needs to be longer than that. You can see there's a little handle there, so we can go ahead and grab that and move it out here like that. Click, and now we're back ready to add another line. So second ending, that goes over measure 11. You can also click on that particular bar and then add the lines. And it does the same basic thing. That one probably went a little far, so I'm going to go ahead and pull it back. Okay, save. So there's our first and our second endings. The other lines are crescendos and decrescendos. Those can be accomplished kind of the same way. You could select the area and then hit crescendo. It's obviously one of the most used ones. And it places your crescendo there. You can also, by hitting the space bar, it increases the length of your crescendo or decrescendo. And by hitting shift and space bar, it makes it smaller. So this way you can adjust the length of your crescendo until its length is correct. You could also grab this and move it. I recommend not doing that because then you can get things out of kilter like that. So just use my space bar and then maybe take it back a little bit like that. So there's my crescendo, and my decrescendo is covering this whole bar. So I'll click on that bar, click on this button here, and select decrescendo from the lines group. So now I've added my crescendo and my decrescendo. You can do the same kind of thing here. You can click on the end of it and then use the space bar to make it smaller, or shift space bar to increase its length. So there are crescendos, decrescendos, first and second endings. There is a difference between a slur and a tie. Let's start with a tie. A tie actually adds the note values of the two notes that it's tying together. So in this case, like here, essentially what we have is an eighth note because we are tying together two 16th notes. So this will sound as an eighth note. A slur is a different thing. It's more of a musical notation rather than changing the note value. And a slur usually, not always, but a slur usually will go over more than one note. So in this case, if I want to add a slur here, and I do, here's my slur line, and a slur line here, it's not tying the note values together because they're separate pitches. So this is actually a slur, and these are ties because they are tying the same note together. So if we want to create a slur, we can go up here to our lines menu, click on this button, and hit slur. Also, there's a shortcut for slur because you use it so often, which is just S. So if I hit S, now I've got a slur between those two notes. Now, just like with the crescendo and decrescendo, if I hit the space bar, it will extend that slur over multiple notes. Essentially becomes a phrase marking. Same thing, if I want to use shift and space bar, it'll take me back. So there's my one slur, and click on the note, hit S, space bar once, and then click, and I've added my second slur. So now I've added my slurs, and I already previously added my ties, and I did that using this button right here, the enter button on your 10 keypad, and that will tie two note values together. So I could go like that, click on that, and now this rhythm is tied together, and it has the basic note value of a quarter note. Okay, that's it for this video. In the next video, we're going to start looking at entering text. So chord symbols, lyrics, titles, composer names, things like that.